What happens when ruthless criminals burn a man's shop down, unaware he is a Delta Force commander? Let's dive to see. The sun dipped low over the hills of Willow Creek, casting long shadows across the small town. The air smelled faintly of wood smoke and earth, but for Henry Blackwood, it carried the bitter scent of betrayal. His shop, Blackwood's Repairs, had stood on Main Street for 20 years, a place where neighbors brought their broken bicycles, old clocks, and cherished family heirlooms. To some, it was just another corner store. To Henry, it was his life's work. Henry wasn't always a repairman. Before settling in Willow Creek, he served 15 years as part of an elite unit known only to those who mattered. He'd seen war zones, faced impossible odds, and saved lives under fire. But now at 47, all he wanted was peace. A quiet life fixing things that others thought were beyond saving. One chilly evening, 3 men stepped into his shop. They weren't customers. They were trouble. Their leader, a wiry guy named Darius, leaned against the counter with a sneer. "You know anything about someone messing with our business?" he asked, voice dripping with menace. Henry kept his tone steady. "I'm just a repairman. I fix stuff. That's it." Darius laughed, sharp and cold. "Word around town says you've got connections, maybe even ties to people who don't like us." His eyes narrowed. "We're giving you one chance to back off." Henry didn't flinch. "I don't meddle in other people's affairs," he replied calmly. "And if you're looking for trouble, you've come to the wrong place." That night, flames devoured his shop. The fire spread fast, eating through the wooden beams and glass windows like a hungry beast. Neighbors gathered outside, watching helplessly as years of hard work turned to ash. Among them stood Henry, his face unreadable. There were no tears, no shouts of anger, just silence. A heavy, crushing silence. Later, sitting alone in his kitchen, Henry stared at a photo of himself in uniform. Behind him stood his teammates, faces etched with determination. Those men taught him more than combat skills. They showed him what it meant to stand tall, even when the world tried to knock you down. "I won't let this break me," he whispered, gripping the edge of the table so tightly his knuckles turned white. Days passed. Rumors swirled through Willow Creek about who set the fire. Some blamed rival gangs. Others pointed fingers at disgruntled ex-employees. But Henry knew better. Darius and his crew left their mark, a charred dollar bill pinned to the doorframe. It was a warning. Stay out of their way, or face worse consequences. Henry decided not to run. Instead, he started rebuilding. With calloused hands and unwavering resolve, he tore down the burned remains of his shop and laid new foundations. Word spread quickly, drawing curious onlookers and well-wishers. One afternoon, a young man approached him, hat clutched nervously in his hands. "Mr. Blackwood? My name's Leo. I heard what happened, and I want to help." Henry studied the boy carefully. He looked about 18, with scruffy hair and clothes that hinted at rough times. "Why should I trust you?" Leo hesitated before speaking again. "Because I know what it's like to lose everything, and because maybe I can learn something from you." Something in Leo's voice struck a chord. Henry nodded slowly. "All right, kid, but you better be ready to work." Together, they rebuilt the shop piece by piece. As weeks turned into months, Leo proved himself. He worked tirelessly, asking questions and soaking up knowledge like a sponge. In return, Henry shared stories, not just about repairing machines, but about resilience, courage, and finding purpose after loss. But the calm didn't last forever. One evening, as Henry locked up the newly constructed shop, a shadow moved across the street. Darius emerged from the darkness, flanked by 2 hulking figures. "Thought you'd learned your lesson," he growled, stepping closer. "Guess we need to teach you again." This time, there was no hesitation. Henry squared his shoulders, every muscle coiled like a spring. "You picked the wrong fight," he said quietly, each word carrying the weight of decades of training. Before Darius could react, Henry moved with blinding speed. Years of discipline kicked in, turning him into a whirlwind of precision strikes. Within moments, the trio lay sprawled on the ground, groaning in pain. Henry stood over them, breathing heavily but unharmed. "You ever come near me, or anyone here again," he warned, "you'll regret it." As police sirens wailed in the distance, Darius spat curses, but fear flickered in his eyes. For the first time, he understood why they called Henry Blackwood a legend. The second twist came weeks later, when Leo revealed a secret. Sitting in the shop late one night, he confessed, "I used to work for Darius. I helped plan the arson." Henry froze. Betrayal stung, sharper than any punch. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Leo hung his head. "Because I didn't think you'd give me a second chance. But being here, working with you, it made me realize I don't have to keep running from my past." Henry sighed, weighing his options. Then he placed a hand on Leo's shoulder. "We all make mistakes. What matters is how we choose to move forward." Leo looked up, hope flickering in his eyes. "You really mean that?" "I do," Henry replied firmly. "Now prove you're worth trusting." From that day forward, Leo dedicated himself fully to the shop. Under Henry's guidance, he transformed from a troubled youth into a skilled craftsman. Together, they expanded their services, offering free repairs to struggling families and teaching workshops to aspiring mechanics. Yet the biggest change happened within Henry himself. Rebuilding the shop wasn't just about restoring a business, it was about rediscovering his identity. Once defined solely by his military service, he now found meaning in helping others rebuild their lives. One evening, as twilight painted the sky orange, Henry sat on the porch of his home, reflecting on the journey. "Life knocks us down sometimes," he murmured, "but it's not about staying down, it's about getting back up." And as the stars twinkled above Willow Creek, Henry smiled. For the first time in years, he felt truly alive. That's the story, friends. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure sharing it with you all. Don't forget to comment below and let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see the global reach of these stories. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories, tips, and tricks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. If you'd like to show some extra love, tap the 3 dots near the share button and send a super thanks.